measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls. The measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls.
We create
The smart, powerful, creative, accomplished young women.
We can fight.
I'm here because of you. I'm here because girls like you inspire me.
No man is big enough for
Many of these girls have faced unthinkable obstacles just to attend school. The measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls.
One stand still.
Your story is my story. Your story is my story.
Won't be shamed.
Your story is my story. Your story is my story. Story.
No man is big enough for
And I told them that they should disregard anyone who demeans or devalues them, and that they should make their voices heard in the world.
Buckle up, Buttercups. It's another episode of Surly Voices here on WMNF Tampa 88.5. My name is Liz. I'm one of your hosts. My co-host Maria is on the Zoom, ready to get down and talk some trash. How you doing, Maria?
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm
doing okay. How are you doing?
It is so cold up here. How cold is it
I
down
love
there?
it.
No.
I love it.
No.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just another indication that I don't belong in Florida, okay?
Frank,
I love this weather.
Yeah, Frank is our call screener, and he's from Pennsylvania. So when I came in, I'm like, "Oh, this is your kind of weather, huh, Frank?" But lots of mess happening right now. The thing that's caught our eye here in the last day is this so-called Democratic senator who is poised, or let's see, Fetterman. He's this Shrek-looking dude, and he and several, not only he, but several of the Democrats in Congress are starting to kind of pander to the right, and I can't see any good happening there. What's your take on that, Maria?
Is anybody really surprised?
No. Well, I guess this was the one place where my naivete carried through, and I'm like, okay, ain't none of these people going to fight for us. None of these. It's all they're doing is chasing votes.
I mean, but
yeah,
he's not even the first. He's not going to be the last, right?
Right.
Even in Florida, you had Jason Pizzo come out and say that we need to move more to the right, and I'm like, dude,
can't say that, Maria.
What's that?
The word that you've used twice now, and I've dumped you twice for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So people are angry.
People are angry.
Yeah, people are angry.
And
But wait, though, I want to give the list.
Here's Miss Donna in the house.
Hey, Donna.
In the house.
The list is going to make whatever Maria's going to say next even more juicy. Because she always gives us such, a keen analysis on these people. And so here's the list, Maria. John Fetterman, Ruben Gallego, and Mark Kelly of Arizona. Yes, the list is important. The list is important.
But Mark Kelly should not surprise anybody.
Okay. Gary
Right.
Peters and Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan.
Wow.
Again,
Jackie Rosen of Nevada. Now, this one bothers me. And I'm not going to lie, because I lived in Colorado. I was an young activist working with John Hickenlooper. He came into this is Colorado, he came into the scene as an entrepreneur, highly successful entrepreneur in the hospitality industry. So he had some bars, maybe he had a strip joint, maybe, allegedly. And he was a party guy. And he had commercials where he was putting coins into the parking meters downtown, because parking was a big detractor from people who wanted to come and hang out in Lodo with all these fancy new bars when they rehabbed it for mostly houseless people. And John Ossoff of Georgia, that we fought so hard for.
Yeah.
To get in office in Florida. He was one of the beneficiaries of the massive movement that took place in Florida ahead of the election in 2022,
Right.
22 midterms. And so, these are your people. And I've given money to Mark Kelly. I'm giving money to Mark Kelly. And what is Michigan? What are they being invaded by that we need to do this?
Right.
Okay. And you know what? One more thing before we
Canada.
go back to Maria.
Canada's coming down to
It was Katie Britt. Do you remember Katie Britt gave that talk, the response to the State of the Union address last year? She was the girl from Alabama that took the video in her kitchen.
yeah.
Yes.
She was the one that said, hey, we got enough to go ahead with the immigration bill. Let's go. We got enough Democrats, so chop. So back to Maria.
Wow. See,
So
yeah.
So there's a bunch of neoliberals on that list
Yes.
that are that are like pro military industrial complex and subversive activities that should not surprise you. Alyssa Slotkin was an intelligence officer in the military. Should not surprise you. Mark Kelly, military guy, should not surprise you. So a lot of the names on that list should not surprise you. I was never a fan of John Ossoff because he too is a neoliberal, not in the military sense, but in the by any means necessary, I will get elected sense.
Right.
He doesn't surprise me. The one that surprises me, actually, because he ran like super progressive, is Ruben Gallego. That one kind of surprises me, but not really. These people are lost, I think, and I think that we know that, and they are all still trying to figure out, rather than talk to their voters and rather than take on the interest of voters. They are trying to navigate the cesspool of money and corrupt capitalism that is going to keep them in their jobs. And it's not going to work.
Let us define what a neoliberal is, because I'm always critical of folks who throw around words like communist. You guys are communists. How many times have we been called communists, Don?
So some would argue that neoliberalism began under Bill Clinton, a new way of defining what the Democratic Party looked like, which was much more corporate, right? Some would argue that neoliberalism began under Jimmy Carter, God rest his soul. But the general definition or idea behind what a neoliberal is are people who profess to be quote unquote liberals, but are rooted still in corporate interest, and most of that corporate interest being around militarism. We are going to support A, B, and C because that will support Lockheed Martin and Boeing and the people who make our bombs and fighter jets, kind of thing. Neoliberalism would be the deregulation of the banks that brought us the Great Recession of 2008.
And broadly, all market regulations.
Correct.
Right.
Laissez-faire, which is rooted in classical liberalism.
Right.
Right? So equality, fraternity, liberty, right? But the neoliberal branch becomes much more specific, I think, than just free markets and civil liberties.
Right. So the Oxford Dictionary says favoring policies that promote free market capitalism, deregulation, and reduction in government spending. So that sounds just like Republicans to me.
100%.
So I would say, which is one of the reasons why before the great transition of African Americans over to the Democrat Party, you would see these fundamental principles grounding liberalism, neoliberalism. I think you have to make the distinction because I do not believe that classical liberalism, right? We didn't see neoliberalism in this country until the 30s because it goes hand in hand with runaway capitalism.
Right.
They literally can't be divorced from each other because the fundamental idea of liberalism is to protect the markets by any means necessary. And when Maria says, I want to say Dr. Cole, I'm going back and forth. When Maria says that John Ossoff is a neoliberal who didn't surprise her, that sort of get elected by any means necessary, it's a carryover from the policy of maintain power via any means necessary.
Yes.
Because the Republicans have to stay in a deregulated market category in order to make as much money as they want. It's what allows UHC and all of the insurance companies to do what they do.
Got it. So if you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 813-239-9663. I
remember when Susan Smith, who was the former leader of the Progressive Coalition here in Hillsborough, she accused me of what does neoliberalism mean? I was like, first, Karen, you're not going to challenge the commitment of this particular autodidact because I assure you I have read this thing starting from its authors all the way to its current iterations before I used the word on Facebook. Now, maybe I saw the word somewhere circa 2003, when I first got into this.
Right.
And I said, I don't know what that means, but people keep saying it. It was back during the Trump, and we were running around doing street theater, and she actually thought I was one of those people. She ended up blocking me. I'll not have it. The information is free. We live in the era of free information.
Right.
Unfortunately, more people want to know about Bennifer than they want to know about the definition of neoliberalism.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
the only problem.
Well, you're not lying there for sure. So for those of you following along, we've been tossing about the word neoliberal, and basically it just means somebody who's calling themselves a Democrat but's really a Republican. So
100%.
I have this.
That is the simplest, most succinct answer.
It is.
Right there.
It is. But so I need to talk about Greenland. I need to talk about Canada and Donald Trump's hyperbole.
Yeah.
Okay. The phone rang immediately. Now we're getting to it.
What are we going to do with
That is
Greenland?
hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, now all bets are off. You
So
know?
people are hysterical about that. But I said, okay, this is one of those things where it's like you're making a fire over there.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Nothing's gonna.
Distraction.
I was like, oh, here we go. Nothing's gonna get done now, which is what I said.
Yep.
Then there are people who are, not reading, who are reading the celebrity gossip, and they don't know that this is just another fake them out. It's a
Distraction.
Yes, a distraction.
Yeah. It's the shiny object to
But-
keep your
but
eye
don't-
off.
But don't you think part of it, but don't you think part of it feeds into this internal MAGA war around HB1 visas and First Lady Elon Musk and
I wouldn't insult. I don't
and
insult Melania like that. Dang.
I think. Hey, listen! I was watching the beginning of this of the Carter funeral this morning, and he was putting the Mac on Obama. So I'm not exactly sure,
Oh.
like what's going on with that man. But anyway, there's that internal war of anti-immigration MAGA people and the elite MAGA people who are in full support of HB1 visas. So I believe that Greenland is partly a distraction, right? But we all know that because of climate change, Greenland there have been minerals exposed in Greenland that look optimal to people like Elon Musk, who are interested in mining land across this globe for lithium batteries and things like that.
Yeah, and Elon Musk, he's already saying that. Oh, we probably won't find $2 trillion in cuts. They haven't even gotten into office yet.
Right.
Need to be clear on this, okay? And the other thing is, I'm not afraid of that immigration bill. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Right? I would like to have my
100%.
$80 back from Mark Kelly that I gave in little $5 increments. I'd like to have that back. Just like to say that I'm not afraid of this bill. They're going to hurt some people. They were always going to hurt some people. But this bill is not going to allow them to hurt more people. They're going to harass some people, and then they're going to find out that they can't do the thing that they want to do. And then they're going to go and start a fire somewhere else. Right?
Right. Let's talk to Gary in Largo. Hi, Gary.
Hey, I wanted to make sure I understand your show correctly because I can't listen even to whole shows. But one of your team was a Washington, D.C. Democratic insider. Is that correct?
That's that's a lot. You're adding a lot to it. But go on. I get the gist. Go on.
Yeah, so I want to thank you for pointing out not the concept of the uniparty, that there's no difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, especially at the federal level. But I've concluded after watching Biden's loyalty to Merrick Garland and many of his other failures, as well as you have pointed out, the just ridiculous ineffectiveness and incompetence of the Florida Democratic Party.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's wild.
I've had to conclude that it's kabuki theater that we're watching, like professional wrestling.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and so given that they've locked out any possibility of an organic third party, Bernie's too old. Other than like that great movie that came out 2 years ago, Civil War, what chance do we have to bring democracy back to the United States?
That's a great question, Gary. Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah.
Get money out of politics.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Put a limit on, it's like
Defeat Citizens United.
Right. Yeah. There's so many things. I'm wondering what would happen if all the people who are feeling like me and just went and we declared one day as change your party affiliation day.
Okay, so here's what I think. I think the first thing we have to do is organize.
Yes.
Every government in the history of man, every revolution in the history of man began with, since the dawn of the agrarian society on the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley, has begun with people talking to each other about what they want and what they can do about getting what they want. It's the way Congress works. It's the way classrooms work.
Right.
It's the way everything works. It's the way every meeting at work works. What do we want to do? Why do we want to do it? What do we need to do to get it done? And how can we divide up those tasks? Okay? So I believe that if we defeat Citizens United, right, and the problem with campaign finance reform is that you only get every 20 years to talk about it, right? So we talked about this under Feingold in the early 2000s. So we're due for a conversation, a serious conversation, not this every 4 years we go, oh man, we got to get money out of politics, but a serious conversation that generates legislation is due. However, as you can see, we're in the midst of a great civil war, testing whether this nation or any nation so conceived and
Lord.
endeavored can long endure.
Yeah.
Right? To quote Abraham Lincoln. So that's from the Gettysburg Address, guys, if you don't know. And because we're in the midst of this great civil war, I would call it a civil Cold War, right? That we're having, or a cold civil war.
I would call it lukewarm at this point.
Yeah, it's getting warming up.
Yeah.
You know, Luigi warmed it up a little bit, although
Yeah.
he looked really cold in that picture when all the police were around him. So I would say that once people decide that they would like to have some say in their government,
Right.
then we can proceed with legislation that stops the money from flowing in. We will have to, I do believe this, because this question comes up quite often. I do believe we got to get the money out of politics. So a big green check next to that.
Yes.
However, I believe that so few people are voting that the oligarchs will find a way to subvert enough of the vote of the people. So remember, we only need to get 10% of people in our population really hot
Yeah.
about everything, like really engaged. At the 10%, this is a theory of organizing as taught to me by Reverend Dr. Russell Meyer, my mentor, Lutheran pastor up in Jacksonville. He's been on the show before. You guys may have heard it. And he told me, I was like, I just feel like I'm just bailing water. And he said, okay, I'm going to turn you on to a theory. And I forget what he called it, but he says this so often. At the point that we capture 10% of the public imagination, you've got yourself a wildfire.
Ah.
It happened during BLM. We've got to get 10% of people to be as informed as Dr. Cole, who's with us here today.
Yeah.
When we hit that 10% mark, then that 10% will do their job. They've got to go and find 5 more people. At that point, we're majority. We're 60% majority.
Yeah.
Everybody that's in that 10% has to find 5 friends, coworkers, family members, and then they cannot stop us.
I
Simple.
like that.
It's always simple.
Yeah. Let's talk to Chris in
They're
Sarasota.
lining up.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, good morning. How are you? I'm enjoying the discussion. I'm kind of on the same page with Gary, previous caller, in terms of asking the question, where now, because I think it's important to take into account that this is not, people are always pointing at Trump, who's really sort of like the entertainment in
Yeah.
Right.
this show,
I
right?
like that.
It's really a multi-decade effort
It is.
to seize the government.
Right.
I've been reading the book called Dark Money, which talks about the history of the Koch brothers and Richard Mellon Scaife and the Coors family to finance basically this right-wing revolution, which is based on libertarian ideas, which when the time they started were considered really radical, almost anarchist, right?
Right.
And so when Obama got elected, one of the things that the book really starts when Obama gets elected, and it's a real nadir for the Republican Party. the Republican Party go now? We remember that, right? I had to be reminded that it really, the question was, what do they do now? Is there anything left for the Republican Party? And within the 16 years that brought us to Trump Part 2, those billionaires financed a basic revolution to recapture power through their money and through the control of right-wing media and the siloing of right-wing media.
Right, yes.
And other media channels and the think tanks that back all, financing these think tanks. And one of the things that the book points out is that all this money that they use, that they need to get rid of to avoid taxes, they're allowed to pour into right-wing ideology and financing think tanks. And I would like to hear your thoughts on how that relates to neoliberalism, for example. And my own belief is that we kind of have to wait for this right-wing revolution to exhaust itself or to kind of erode and become corrupt, because right now they have everything covered, in my opinion.
All right. Thanks so much for calling, Chris. We're going to answer your question after we clear out our queue here, because we got all the lines are lit up. So, but we're taking notes, and we will circle back and answer it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Let's see. We will talk now to John in Port Richey. Hi, John.
Hey, thanks for the show. So I see 3 points of attack for getting back democracy. One, get rid of the money in politics, and that I have an idea about, and I think that could be done fairly easily. Two, gerrymandering, which is a challenge, but I think that could be done also. And the third one is to, and this is going to be the hardest one, get more accuracy in the conservative media, or in any media for that fact. But all these opinion people that just say things that's so wildly inaccurate and people just believe it, that has to be addressed somehow. So for getting rid of money in the politics, there was a Supreme Court decision a while ago in reference to a gun law that was passed. And basically the conservative Supreme Court, that's a constitutional Supreme Court, they said there was no law that was analogous to whatever the law was back in 1870 or 1883 or 1783, back when the country was founded. So why not use that same attack to go, where were corporations people back in 1783? I don't think that was ever in the founding document. And use their same argument to pull that from corporations, and then you can start regulating their money. If that works, I'm sure there's nothing back there in 1783 that said money was speech. So you could challenge that on that ground, and if that gets overturned, then you can regulate the money and the politics. And the gerrymandering, that would be through state legislators, which would be a lot harder to do, but feasible. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, John.
I've got an email. I'm going to jump in there. But I think that we should bat to Maria for an answer to some of those questions before they pile up, before we go on to the next call.
Okay,
so email. This is from Joe. And Joe says that I think neoliberalism goes back to the Carter era, which was what Maxwell said. This was the era of the Trilateral Commission. Yeah, I remember that. I was a little kid. And hand-wringing about the ungovernability of democracies. I was in college at the time and remember the talk about reducing expectations. Coming from a working-class background, this perplexed me. Paul Tsongas came to my poli-sci course and may have even used the term neoliberal to describe himself. Joe Biden also came in during the post-Watergate turn, though I don't know if he embraced the term himself.
He don't embrace the term, but he's the embodiment of a neoliberal, I would think. Yeah, because even now, they're trying to shuffle him out of the White House, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, we need to reach across the aisle. No, we don't. Our country has gone so far right. It's going to be a long time before we're even...
Karen Underwood says, I have no optimism with this era of government. I didn't mean to say the last name. I'm sorry. We have entered a scary new era. Karen and Dunedin.
All right. So let's get back to the queue here. We were
going to go to Maria.
Yes. Maria, to answer the questions, how the oligarch revolution with the Republicans translates as far as neoliberals now.
I mean, honestly, the only difference between now and decades past is the more openness about it, right? Like before, they were hiding behind think tanks and groups of you know, organized corporate interests, right? But now they're out there out front. They design their own trucker caps and they're out there taking center stage, right?
Right.
So I don't know that it's really changed that much. But one of the things that Donna read in one of the emails, and I was thinking, you know, when was the reaching across the aisle? When was the last time you had a Republican leader invite Democrats into their administration? Democrats do it all the time.
Right.
Half of Biden's appointments have been like, what, John McCain's wife was an ambassador and had a bunch of other Republican ambassadors and appointments for people of service. And or defense secretaries. Look at that, because that is like the bastion of where they funnel money to, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it's no different. Like, it's just a lot more over. I feel like it's so corrosive now that they can come out of the shadows.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
And it's just so corrosive. And to Donna's point earlier about organizing, I just feel like we're in this drain
Right.
of
Circling.
spiraling
Yep.
the drain in a more corrosive, corrupt, and overt manner than we have ever been with respect to this so-called democracy.
Yeah.
Well, Carol agrees with you. She sent us an email that says, just read a book about Jewish people in Germany as Hitler rose up. The main themes were they should have taken the threat way more seriously way earlier and stopped Hitler and his thugs by any means necessary. Second theme was that because they did not, they realized too late that they needed to flee, were unable to, and were massacred. Do you see any of the Germany-Hitler parallels as being equivalent to the rise of the Trump MAGA Musk Putin regime? I sure do.
I think so. Yeah, I think, I mean, for different reasons, but for very similar tactics. You put somebody who is magnetic to people who are disenchanted with whatever's going on, and somebody that they relate to and that speaks to them. And yeah, I think you're looking at a massive cult following,
I do.
basically.
But it's no, I'm sorry. I mean, to me, it's just it is the same. It is the same tools out of the same toolbox, right?
Yes.
Even the rise of Hitler is not out of the ordinary for what those tools and what those weaponizations are. It was so-called economics, right? But the economics, rather than pointing the finger at the banks and rather than pointing the finger, just think about the stock market crash and all of that other stuff that in the Great Depression and everything, right? It wasn't because of those people did it to you. Absolutely not.
Right.
It's the same thing like Greenland. It's like, let's distract people and let's get people to believe that it is everything other than our corrupt greed and nature.
Yeah.
The Civil War was trying to convince poor white people that it was in their interest to ensure the enslavement of people for the 1% wealthy plantation owners.
Right, exactly.
Right, it's no different. This is a cycle that repeats itself over and over and over again until we learn the lesson. Those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it.
Amen. Yes.
So
All
let's
right.
see what Joe has to say.
Yeah.
He's in New Hampshire, Sunapee, New Hampshire.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for calling.
One of my favorite places, by the way.
Your show is just amazing. I mean, the whole radio station is amazing. I can't say enough. I mean, it's just an inspiration.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
I actually try to turn you guys off after Democracy's Vow, so I won't get caught up. But today, I mean, you guys are just too good, and I can't take it.
Oh.
But one of the things you do, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to the choir masters here, the divas. But you know, keep on talking about the history because that's so important. Because so few people really get in touch with it. And you know, the neoliberalism that you're talking about really was caused by the two things, I think. One, the slackening memories of the Great Depression and the New Deal, because neoliberalism is an attack on the New Deal. And, of course, the other thing is, and I don't have to tell you this, but we have to keep on saying it, is that the real backlash against the New Deal came when they started trying to extend its benefits to the internally colonized people of color in the United States. And that was something that certain people could use to drive this huge wedge through the working class. Now, in terms of just my ideas, in terms of how to fight back, I mean, these are all things that people know, but one of the key things, and this was part of the New Deal too, is unions, labor unions.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, they are so imperfect. They are democracy on the ground. It's ugly, nasty. I've done a lot of union stuff. It can be very discouraging, but democracy is very discouraging. Another avenue, and you know about this guy more than I do, I'm sure, but William Barber, the bishop who does the Poor People's Movement,
Campaign.
that touched through the strains of progressive and humanistic Christianity, especially mainstream Protestantism, is so important, and it's much more powerful than you think about. That's actually, you see we see a tip of the iceberg as far as that goes. Ralph Nader, who I'm sure has probably been on your show, or you could probably get him, has all kinds of ideas about actually building in progressive activism in every single congressional district in the United States. He just needs to be able to do that. But he is a key person. And the guy that called and talked about dealing with corporations and making sure that corporations are held to responsibility, this is an issue that can be used at all levels, from the high legal to the populist, because even people that vote for Trump, you know, they blame the government, they blame the state, they blame what do they call it, the administrative state, but they blame the deep state. But that deep state, they're really talking about this intermingling of corporate power with people
Yes.
out of government and the traditions of empire.
Yes.
When it comes to so that's really important. And then I'm going to just disagree with you a little bit about this reaching across the aisle stuff. I mean, I think what we have to do, especially because we're dealing with neighbors and we're dealing with people with all kinds of backgrounds and levels of trauma, whether they're rich or poor, we have to be looking for reconciliation and working together when we can. We just have to be not naive and smart about it and strategic.
Strategic. I like
Strategic.
That.
Talk about that.
Not terrorizing people.
Yes.
Well, you can't work with people when people are using violence against you. You obviously,
Right.
and are trying to rape or murder you.
Yeah.
You know, that's different. That's self-defense. But you know, you can't use self-defense to do what Israel is doing in Gaza. That's not self-defense. You know,
Right.
and I'm not saying we're going to go that far, but you know, what's happening is, you know, it's part of human nature. We scapegoat. We're afraid. We exclude. We're afraid of something that's different. It's easy to get us to be afraid.
It is, Joe.
And
You're
when
talking
we
that
succumb
good
to-
stuff, but we
we're not going to cooperate.
We got
you know.
3 people in the queue, and we're down to 15 minutes.
Talk too much. But
I would
thank you for
like
having
it
me.
if you would call us back next week and say some more things.
Yes.
Use more words.
Who knows? I probably will if I would. All right.
Thank you so much for calling
Thank you,
from New
Joe.
Hampshire.
Bye-bye. All right, Mike in Sarasota. Hi, Mike.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I promise to keep this real brief.
Okay.
You began the show talking about how some Democrats are rejecting progressive politics. And I think I heard a pearl on your show from about 2 weeks ago. One of y'all said that the Democratic Party is not good for progressives.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I simply say this. If you're not good for the Democrats, according to them, and they are not good for you, according to you, why not form a third progressive party? Make a break with them and
Yes.
for your politics. Now, there's lots of problems. I know that third parties are not the solution. I mean, there's problems with it. It's not a perfect solution. But I will remind you of this. One of your heroes, probably, Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York State, came from a third party. So it can be done and can have effect. And she's done more against Trump than probably anybody in the whole country. So that's all I have to suggest is that the progressives form a third party.
Yes,
Awesome.
and yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mike.
Affirm that, and we're going to come back to that.
Yes.
We're going to have a whole show about that in February when we get done with the work that we're doing on that end here in Florida. So bookmark that, Mike. At some point in February, we will have more to say about that.
All right. Stephen in St. Petersburg. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, I wanted to clarify something last week on the Ukraine war and that Joe Biden, not himself, but Victoria Nuland and Anthony Blinken pushed that war. And let me just lay out a few points because some guy made a comment that Joe Biden didn't start that war. And I wanted to clarify so people understand how serious that war was. Okay, long story short, 1991, George H. Bush shakes hands with Mikhail Gorbachev. He says, we are not going to expand 1 foot east. NATO will not expand. Well, they kept expanding, and then finally when Poland became part of NATO, that made the Russians real nervous. So understand that NATO was a threat now to Russia. So basically this war was over selling oil to Europe. Russia wanted to sell their natural gas and oil to Europe, and the American oligarchs in our country did. Now, the Obama administration overthrows the democratically elected president in Ukraine because he was friendly with Putin. Okay? And then understand that he brought up Boris Johnson going with the Minsk Accords, trying to make peace with Vladimir Putin when Zelensky was put into power. Well, they had a peace deal. But guess who sent Boris Johnson to stop that? Was the Biden administration.
Oh,
the Biden
shocker.
The Biden administration pushed that war that we're in. So people don't realize what the Biden administration brought us that close. And this war is still going on with over almost 500,000 people killed in that war. So I wanted to clarify. He brought up the Minsk Accords. That was the peace treaty between Zelensky and Putin. And then Boris Johnson went over there on the orders of Victoria Nuland and Anthony Blinken. You sign that deal, the Azov battalion within Ukraine is going to kill you.
Yeah.
And he didn't sign the deal. So that war, and see, understand that Putin had to go in there because in the Donbass area was an area of Ukraine that had Russian-speaking people in it. And basically, the Azov battalion were basically killing people if they didn't stop speaking Russian. The Russians had no choice. It'd be the same thing like as if there were people on the Mexican-Texas border. And
We got to wrap this one up.
Yeah, land the plane, Stephen.
Yeah, anyway. But the last thing I was going to say, let me just say this real quickly about Joe Biden. When Joe Biden was elected in 2020, they're admitting now that he was senile. And the reason that the oligarchs, the war oligarchs and everybody else had to get Biden in there, so he would be a figurehead for the United States.
We got to cap it right there. We got to cap it right there.
All right.
Call us back next week. We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Stephen.
Stephen.
Bye-bye.
I want to add this. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but what he was talking about, that era, was the Luke Oil era for Al Gore. I'm just going to throw this out there and let you guys take it to Google, okay? That I remember that Al Gore had about $1 million worth of the largest oil company in Russia, Luke, spelled L-U-K, oil. That was just a tidbit that I got, that this guy was drenched in oil money. That wasn't his only oil money. Drenched in crude, and telling us about the environment. But I'll let you move on.
Oh, wow.
We'll go
Okay.
to Jack in Dover.
Jack in Dover. Thanks for holding, Jack.
Sorry about that.
Okay, well, before I talk politics, I want to just kind of give a shout out to anyone who's gone to the Mott Aquarium. It's near Lido Beach in Sarasota. Have you girls ever been there?
No.
I might have gone. That's where Snooty used to live, right?
Yeah, well, they have 2 sea turtles there. They're like leatherbacks. They're huge, huge turtles. But they're in this little trough, and they just swim around in a circle all day long.
No.
And it's kind of sad, that $29 per person is more important than the comfort of those 2 big turtles. One's named Shelly, and I guess it's her sister. They're 2 turtles there. But, I also saw the new CEO of Clearwater Aquarium, and I was wondering if there was some way to network with your listeners to see, is there a way to save the turtles that are already being saved? I know that sounds silly, but I mean, even if they could just go to the Clearwater Aquarium periodically so that they could swim around in a bigger body of water and then go back to the Mott so that tourists can get close and have that up-close personal experience, because it was great. Don't get me wrong. I really, really enjoyed being that close to these huge, huge sea turtles. But at the same time, my heart just went out for them. Like, I hope they don't have to stay in this thing all the time.
I'm about to call PETA myself, because this is infuriating.
But then, that kind of goes along with, society is so similar to those 2 sea turtles. We get trapped, as people. We get trapped in an environment. And I don't want to get rid of the Department of Education, but I think that it needs to be tweaked.
I'm sorry, but you've ran out of time here, Jack.
Okay.
So we heard about those sea turtles. You guys know what to do with that. The listeners, you know what to do with that. And I will leave it there.
All right. Thanks for calling, Jack.
Okay, well, you're welcome, girls.
And I'll check in, too, on the
Bye-bye.
turtles.
Poor turtles. Oh, my
Horrible.
God.
Let's go. That's something local we can do. We can do something, right?
Yes.
So thank you for Jack for that. Let's go back to Dr. Cole.
Dr. Cole?
About, do you want me to comment on the sea turtles?
I just don't want to forget that you're out there. I just don't want to
I'm
forget.
still here.
Okay. All right.
With respect to the sea turtles, is there, if we are seeking the better interest of the sea turtles, why not transport them over here to Juneau Beach and the Loggerhead Marine Life Center, which is a turtle habitat that takes sea turtles and other and reintroduces them of all turtle species and reintroduces them back into their natural habitat.
That sounds
that's a nice
stuff to get.
Do we have to make them spectacles, or can we reintroduce them back into their natural habitat? Is a question. That's really my only comment with respect to that. I am not a proponent of dismantling the Department of Education.
No.
I think now more than ever we are in desperate need of real education and not indoctrination and not. I was reading something earlier today in the Chronicles of Higher Ed about rubrics and how students can't handle the idea of an instructor, even on the doctoral level, of an instructor giving them an assignment to write an essay and allow for interpretation. They are so indoctrinated into testing and being able to. It's almost like feeding the labyrinth, rat in a maze, right?
Right.
Reward for simple things as opposed to higher thinking and critical thinking. So, So that's where I am.
Okay.
I'm still here.
And I've been noticing it for a while. And I said it, I used to joke with my husband, the kids can't read. It became like a catchphrase.
Right.
And we found out that about 36% of kids can't read.
Right.
And that these degrees don't mean nearly as much as, say, when you and Dr. Cole came out of school. I mean, it was rigorous.
Yeah.
And now it's just like what she said, you're just running through the gamut. It's almost like a game where you go and you collect one from here, like a game show.
Yeah.
You get one from there and you get one from all six, like mini golf.
Right.
And you don't have to be necessarily proficient or deeply thoughtful to get through the gamut.
Yep.
And then they give you your paper, and then you find out. And this has been some of the erosion that we've seen in the idea of an expert.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk to Jack in Sarasota. Hi, Jack.
Craig.
What's up? Jack.
Come through, Jack. We're here for you. I think we got a faulty connection there.
Yeah, I don't think your connection's good, Jack.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to circle back. Jack, we are going to be here next week. We're going to take your question off topic next week. Yeah, you sound very muffled. Okay, so let's wrap this thing up. We were supposed to talk with Madison today. She really wants to do marketing for the show, which I was under the weather this week and didn't have an opportunity to do. And so we're tabling that for this week, and we'll come back around to it. We really want to do some marketing, help her get some numbers up, because we're going to need the services she's providing going forward. And that's all I have. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, let's do acknowledge that they're having Jimmy Carter's funeral right now. I am so anti-funeral industry that it's like, wow, how are we having big funerals like this? Poor Jimmy Carter, I'm sure, would have preferred just to, get dumped in a hole in Plains, Georgia.
He would have gotten one of those like pod things turned to a tree.
Right.
That's how conscientious he was. I saw a picture of Melania and 47 standing. I said that out loud for the first time. Standing next to the casket. And they were trying to look somber the way that Sotomayor did. But they just looked sour.
Well, of course they look sour. He's stealing the limelight. Didn't you hear about how Trump was upset because the flags were going to be flying at half-mast during his inauguration?
I'm not going to lie. Yesterday, I did show out a little bit at the post office when they told me by next day that I just paid $58 for plus insurance overnight. Was not going to be going anywhere today because the post office was closed. And I was like, why?
Well,
And they said it's Jimmy Carter's lying in state. And I was like, 100 years? That's a good run. Can we move on now?
Exactly.
I mean, that was disrespectful a little bit, but given the fact that he was probably the one of the better presidents we've had in the 20th century. As far as being a genuine whole person.
Yes.
In control of their faculty.
Yes.
And almost wholly lacking the ambitions that characterize the quest for these positions.
Yes,
you would say,
absolutely.
right? Okay.
Absolutely. 100% agree. I don't know why we needed to have a day of mourning so the post office is closed, but here we are. I mean, it's performative, just like everything else Joe Biden does. I told y'all about Joe Biden before he ever got elected, and y'all voted for him anyway.
Well, he told us about Joe Biden. Joe Biden told us about Joe Biden when he was trying to stop busing.
Yeah. So,
last words, Dr. Cole?
Y'all, in all fairness, from the news that I've read, Jimmy Carter planned this funeral himself.
Okay.
When he was first diagnosed more than 10 years ago with brain cancer. He happened to outlive Walter Mondale, who he asked to deliver the eulogy. Okay? So,
joke's on you.
So like, as simple as a man that he was, this state funeral has had his hand in it.
Well, I'm
So-
sure, yeah, because there's the gravitas of,
Right.
yeah.
There's a lot that I could pin on Joe Biden, but this isn't one of them.
I don't think I was directly
So, no, I
blaming
know,
him for the death or the funeral. I was blaming him for the performative holiday.
Well, we'll be back next week. We're getting the finger. We'll be back next week with more good stuff for you. Please join us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.